lunch, I will eat, like, one of my favorite dishes that I would like to tell you about. You take a butternut squash and you take a baking dish. I like corning. I have a lot of corning. And I cut the squash in half, scoop out the seeds, then I lift it and I put the coconut oil that I showed you here. I slather it on the bottom of the baking dish, slather it on the bottom of the squash. Then I slather it all over the entire cavity and the entire piece of a butternut squash. Then I just salt it like crazy on the top, and I crack pepper all over it, a lot of pepper. I bake it at 425 degrees for 45 minutes. And sometimes, this was a larger one, this took about an hour. Ordinarily, it just depends on the size of the squash, but it is very delicious. So I could have that for lunch. At Whole Foods, they have the Indian Masala, and that's the chickpea vegetable dish. And I add to that my my peas that I use. Whole Foods has the best peas I've ever had. They are called petite green peas in the freezer department. They import them from Austria, and they are delicious. And the trick is never to overcook something. So I will take my bowl, my corning dish, and put a couple tablespoons of water in the bottom. Then I will turn on the heat to like a medium heat, halfway up. And when it starts to boil, I pour in my peas, stir them a couple times, check out for when they're warm, and then I will turn off the heat and I will add a couple tablespoons of the melt plant-based butter and some salt. I like salt. I'm very active in the summertime. I perspire a lot when I'm outside. I like to walk, and so you lose a little bit of salt, and you need to have your salt. It all depends on your preference. Everything is done to taste. So I will take some of these peas and put them in the masala, but I eat about a half a pound of peas every day for lunch, just about, because I love my peas. Okay, so when the spinach is cooked down, I will take Kite Hill plant-based cream cheese. The everything flavor is the best one of all. And I will take 2 or 3 heaping tablespoons and stir it into the spinach till it's melted down. When that's melted down, I take the cauliflower out of the steamer and stir it and just heat it a little bit. And that is a dynamic dish. This you can also do with asparagus. It is good with broccoli also. The next dish is parsnips. This is my star. This is 37% vitamin C in its content. And so people say, I don't know what a parsnip is. It looks like a white carrot. And it's I get organic parsnips at Whole Foods, and I'll take and I'll wash it, scrub it down in the kitchen sink. And then I will take a cutting board and I will cut off the end and the top. Now the top is very thick, like a carrot. So I'll take and cut a slice about that thick, and I will cut it into fourths. And as I go down, it becomes halves down to the very end. I don't do a very skinny tip. I wait until, there's enough that has enough substance to it. Now these parsnips, I take and put in a copper or the new granite frying pans. And I will cover I just lay them all in there to cover the bottom. And then I will put water enough barely to come up to the top of the parsnips laying in there. Turn it on high heat, put a lid on, and let in about 3 to 5 minutes, the parsnips will become soft. Just test them with a knife. When they are soft, you turn them off. Then you put a couple tablespoons of the melt butter in there so they don't stick to the bottom of the pan. And then you, in the meantime, you have grated fresh ginger. Fresh ginger is also high in vitamin C. And so you grated fresh ginger, the heat is turned off, you just pour it over, sprinkle it over there, stir it up, and just let it set and serve. I never cook the ginger. I never cook the vitamin C out of the ginger. And that is, people cannot believe the flavor, how sweet and good that is. That is a big favorite when I introduce that to people. Next, this is something I created myself. I created this one also. I take and saute in one pan, one of my Corning dishes, saute some red onion, chopped red onion in the butter. And when that cooks down, I take chopped red cabbage. I only use red cabbage. Chopped red cabbage, and I'll stir it in there and let it cook down on a medium heat until it's softened a little bit. In the meantime, I've taken carrots and I've scrubbed them in the sink, taken the ends off, and split them into pieces. You know, like they're one piece section about this big, I cut in half. And I steam them for about, 4 or 5 minutes till they're soft. And then when that is done, when this starts, the cabbage mixture starts to cook down and soften, I'll turn it up to high heat. I'll put in water just to make it kind of steam up enough, just barely cover the bottom, throw a lid on it, and let it cook down till it's softened a little more. And then when that happens, I just stir in the carrots that I've steamed, and I add salt. Salt to taste. Everything's salting to your taste. For lunch or dinner, one of my friends created this dish. It's the latest rage. It is the cauliflower rice. So I take cauliflower rice, about a cup of cauliflower rice, and I put it in a steamer for about 7 minutes or so and cook it. While that's doing that, I take some red onion with some of my melt butter and I saute it in there. And then I take frozen spinach. I get it from Publix. I find Publix frozen spinach, leaf spinach is some of the best spinach I've ever had. And I'll take about a half a cup, 3/4 of a cup of frozen spinach. And after the onions sauteed down, I'll add the spinach. And then when I'll let that heat up for a little while till it dissolves and starts to cook down, I'll add a little bit, maybe a tablespoon or 2 of water, put a lid on it, let it cook down. And then this is my signature kale salad. Whenever I'm going somewhere, I'd better show up with the kale or I'm going to be in trouble. This is time consuming, but so worth it. You make a large batch, it stays in the refrigerator a week, and you can just grab some out of the refrigerator anytime you want. You can, at night, when I want to have a snack, I take a little kale and eat kale and I sleep like a baby. Because when your body eats meat, it takes a lot to digest your food. Your body is actually working hard. It's a factory, and that fuel of meat has to be broken down. When you're talking about a vegetable like this, it just breaks down real easy and it's very relaxing for you. So this is lacinato kale, not curly kale. I only use lacinato kale. People get turned off about kale because they've never tasted lacinato kale. When they taste kale like this, they go crazy. So, first of all, what I do is I take red, yellow, and orange peppers. They have small packages in Publix of organic peppers from Pero Farms. If they don't have it, I'll use a large red pepper or a yellow red pepper. I can use them from a package from Pero Farms. If I can't get them available, I'll use a red pepper or an orange pepper or a yellow pepper and chop it up. I chop it up into pieces, however you wish to chop it. I have a separate bowl. I chop it up, put that in a bowl. I take to 1 bunch of kale, I would take 3 carrots. I'd wash them off, cut them off the bottom, and I'd grate 3 carrots. Put that in the bowl. Then I will take 4 or 5 pieces of cloves of garlic, and I'll just cut them up, chop them up. I have notes because I have recipes that I will provide for you written down. But I will tell you this, do not bother to put any processed garlic, anything from a jar in oil or anything. It has to be fresh garlic, fresh chopped garlic. It won't be the same. And so I put those 3 items in a bowl. I take my piece of kale and I cut it off the stem on a cutting board. And then I take and I chop up the kale, however you wish. I just chop it up and put it in a large bowl. When it gets I've used half of the kale, I take that bowl with my veggies and dump it in. And then I will fill up the rest with kale. My dressing is lemon juice. I make 1/3 cup fresh squeezed lemon juice. I will take and put heaping to 1 bunch of kale. I will do a heaping tablespoon of salt dissolved in 2 tablespoons of water. I will whisk that into my lemon juice, my 1/3 cup of lemon juice. And then I have sesame oil, not toasted sesame oil, plain sesame oil. I will whisk that into the lemon mixture. And it's about 1/3 cup. It's all done to taste. It's all your preference. I like it very lemony. Most people like it very lemony. Taste your dressing. Take a spoon and taste your dressing. And see, you say, that's too oily. It needs more lemon. Or it's, wow, that's way too much lemony. I need to add a little oil. So then you would add a little oil and play with it. If I had you with me, I'd give you a taste on how it's perfect, but I can't do that. But you'll get it. So that is my kale salad. I am fortunate enough to have friends who have an organic farm where I can get organic arugula. But you can get organic arugula in the grocery store and put it in your salad. It has a lot of stem on it. I like the more mature arugula with a little more flavor, and I cut it off the stem. I cut off kale off the stem for my salad, and I use romaine lettuce. Those 3 lettuces make a delicious salad. Romaine lettuce, the Romans, it's called romaine lettuce because romaine lettuce is really an herb I saw on research. And it is really an herb, a healing herb, romaine lettuce. It will settle your stomach. I tell people, they call me, oh, Donna, I have indigestion, my stomach hurts. I can't remember what you told me to do. Take 4 plain leaves of organic romaine lettuce and eat them. 20 minutes later, your stomach usually feels great. No salad dressing or anything. So I have romaine, kale, which is high in calcium. Kale is actually higher in calcium than milk. Carries more calcium. It's very high on the list. So you have, and it also contains C. So there's a lot of nutrition in there. Then there's a product at Whole Foods in West Palm, Boca, maybe Miami, Fort Lauderdale, that is called Mississippi Caviar. Mississippi Caviar is black-eyed peas with chopped onion and tomato, cilantro, lemon juice, and I have the ingredients that I will provide to you on a piece of paper that you can simulate. My daughter-in-law loved it, and we were in St. Louis at Christmas, and we made our own with chickpeas. She loves chickpeas as opposed to the black-eyed peas, and it was good. And it has a little red pepper. It's a little spicy. And so I take a Caesar salad dressing, and for my salad dressing, I put in Caesar salad dressing after I put in the Mississippi Caviar. And I add, it's called Cindy's Kitchen. It's a salad dressing that is always refrigerated. I get it at Sprouts. Sprouts is big in Florida. I don't know about anywhere else in the country, and I have tried to order things from Cindy's Kitchen, and she won't ship it. So you have to get it at Sprouts. It is a mango juice, coconut, and red pepper. And it has a ding to it. And I will add that to my roasted garlic Caesar and put a little, just dash it a little bit. And when you eat that salad dressing, it goes ding. So, fish. I like to, it's very expensive, but I only get it, remember, every 3 weeks or so. I like to have halibut, and I poach it. First of all, I never make any fish. My fish is delicious. People love my fish because halibut has a piece of skin, so I take the skin off. When I'm preparing a piece of fish, I never have any fish that I cook that has a red or a brown line in it. That is where that fishy flavor is. So I cut it, I make a V, and I just simply remove that part of the fish. And then I put my melt butter, and I also use grapeseed oil with my butter when I'm cooking things down. So put a little grapeseed oil and some melt butter in the pan, and I'm going to poach this fish. So when it's melted, I put it in, and I just let it cook down a little bit. And sometimes I'll take the dish and I'll rotate it and make sure that it's poaching, or take a spoon and poach it a little bit. And when the edges of the pieces of fish are a little white, you see it white after a couple minutes, then you turn it over and let that get cooked. I take a fork and I check it on the center. If it's a thick piece, I'll check it and make sure that it's cooked. If not, and the rest of it is cooked, then I'll cut it and lay it onto the bottom till it cooks. It will take a couple minutes, or just a minute or two. And then I will kill the fire, stop cooking it, and I will sprinkle it with some Himalayan sea salt and stir it and take it immediately off the fire. I do not like dried fish. So then people say, these are scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs I eat at night because they're really a protein. So I learned from a chef how to make scrambled eggs. You take a couple scrambled eggs, you whip them up with a fork. You add some Himalayan salt, whip that up, and then take a tablespoon or so of water only, no dairy, and put that in there, whisk it up again, put it in the melt butter with some grapeseed oil, and on a low, like a third of the whole range of your heat, about a third, and let it sit for a few minutes. And when it starts to set, you stir it periodically. And when it really starts to set, you kill the fire, take it off the fire, move it away, and you stir. Keep on stirring. And you don't overcook it. Do not dry your eggs.
If you have any questions or suggestions for further future topics, please leave a comment below. Thank you.